Revamped squads. There continues to be a wave of signings across Major League Rugby that has familiar faces and unfamiliar faces finding their homes for the next season. On this week's episode of the Fantasy Rucker Show, we break them all down, plus bring one of those familiar faces on the show. Emerson Prior of the Utah Warriors joins us to give us some insight into the Utah Warriors offseason. The Fantasy Rucker Show starts right now.
This is Emerson Prior of the Utah Warriors, and you're listening to the Fantasy Ruckers Show,
where rugby and the world of fantasy sports collide. Welcome to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, talking all things rugby from the MLR to leagues around the world. We're on top of it. Headphones on, pads off. This is the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Yee, Matt Yee, and Devin Vanderpool.
What's up, everybody? This is episode 133 of the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Thank you so much to our Fantasy Ruckers League members, our community members, and everyone else tagging along on this journey of making fantasy rugby a reality in the MLR. With you each and every single week, Matt Yee, Devin, Vandy Vanderpool. I am Ryan Yee, and boy, do we have a good one for you in this episode. We said it at the top of the show. It is revamped squad season. A whole bunch of teams adding a whole bunch of new faces to their squad. And there are some familiar faces that are returning back to their squads as well. And one of those familiar faces is joining us today on this show. Emerson Prior, front row for the Utah Warriors, will be on the show later on to talk about all the new signings that they have had. Vandy's going to be pumped about that. Our in-house Utah Warriors fan. He's got the jersey on, repping. He's excited for this one. Probably your favorite interview that we've done so far, Vandy?
Yeah, you know what? I just super pumped to get a Utah guy and can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah, there you go. Maddie, how you doing, man?
Good. I'm looking forward to talking with Emerson. It's been a while since I chatted with him, so it should be a good time. It's been a hot minute since the last time I chatted with him.
We'll have that coming up.
That's a tough question, Ryan. That was loaded because I love having Cole on too.
That's true. But
but
you were wearing the jersey,
so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
The relationship is lost.
Only if he tells me some good stuff about Utah. If he tells me some horror stories about our new roster. I don't know if I can handle it. I might just have to quit the mid-interview.
I guess we'll see. You want to stay tuned for that again, coming up in just around the corner, but we have a whole bunch of other stuff to get to before we get to that, and that is the flurry of signings that have come in over the course of the past week. We've been breaking them down each and every single episode, it feels like, for the past month in terms of all these new signings. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of factors that go into that. A lot of the Super Rugby teams announcing their rosters now, so guys finding out if they have a spot to play overseas, whether they need to come back to the MLR, and a whole bunch of other factors as well. Results from the dispersal draft kind of getting finalized and things like that. So again, no shortage of signings that we need to talk about in this episode. Again, a lot of that has been the Utah Warriors obviously coming through that, but again, a whole other handful of teams going through that as well. So there is no time to waste. Let's hop right into it, guys. But before we do, like we say every episode, if you aren't already, give us a follow at the Fantasy Ruckers wherever you like to use your social media, whether that's X, Instagram, Facebook. We are there. Also, like this video, subscribe to our channel, the Fantasy Ruckers. We bring great content each and every single week, including interviews like these where we get in-depth and insight into the player's mind of what is Major League Rugby, and it's been a really, really fun journey, especially this offseason with some of the new faces that we've had on this show, and we're going to continue bringing that for you along with all of the great fantasy MLR content. And also it'll be the first place that you'll be able to find out on socials at the Fantasy Ruckers how you can play fantasy MLR in 2025. We also have a Discord channel, link down below to join that. And then we also have our website, thefantasyruckers.com, the official platform for fantasy MLR here on the Fantasy Ruckers. All right, let's get right into it. The way we're going to break this down, because there are a whole bunch of players, guys,
too many,
is we are going to go team by team. I'm going to name all the guys that have been signed within the past week, and Maddie and Vandy are going to break down who they're most excited for and who they think will have the biggest fantasy impact. All right, I think the team that we got to start with, though, is probably the team that decided last week they were just going to field a whole team of front rowers, and just have that be their entire squad.
They kind of moved to the second row.
They moved to the second row, moved a little bit to the back row, and then added a couple back three players in that. So they're building their squad, and we're talking about the San Diego Legion. So let me go through all the names, and then we can see who we like the most out of these names. So, James Rivers, second row player, returning for 2025, was loaned to Anthem Rugby Carolina back in 2024. He returns to the San Diego Legion. Charlie Hewitt returns for 2025, second rower. James Rivers not James River. Jed Holloway, back row player, signs for 2025. He's going to be a new player. Jay Tuivati, back row player, returns for 2025. Chris Terori returning. Brad Wilkin, back row player for 2025. Patty Ryan as well. Christian Poitevin, he's been a familiar name on this podcast with the potential fantasy impact that he could have. He's returning in 2025 at the back row position. Jimmy Hokafonu, back row player, is signing for 2025. Matthew loves this one. Richard Judd is coming back for the 2025 season as well. Connor Tupai joining that scrum half room. Lincoln McClutchy, Harris Rutherford, and Noke Wakavesi in the fly half room. And James Faifale and Nick Yost, back three players, returning or signing and returning respectively to the 2025 year. So, whole list of names there. I feel like I can guess which one Maddie's most pumped for. There's potential here for some really, really great players, but I'll leave it out to the floor to you guys, kind of out of those names of people that are now joining or returning to the San Diego Legion. Who you like, man?
I think it's interesting this time around. I mean, Richard Judd, awesome. I mean, he wasn't on the Hurricane squad like he was last year, but he's coming back to San Diego. It's an interesting situation now. Back then, he was the kind of standalone 9. Yeah. Now it's got Tupai. Very similar play styles, I would say, in terms of offensively.
Tupai was awesome last year, too.
Yeah, he was. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out fantasy, because I'm not sure that's going to be the best fantasy-wise, having both of those guys splitting minutes. It might be something where you're going to want to have both. But the other interesting thing here that I'm seeing is that 10 position. I mean, you got Lincoln McClutchy coming back. Yep. You got Harris Rutherford. And then you got the new signing of Nick Just, who's got some formidable time with the Rebels in Super Rugby. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And I think that'll be something that we'll have to watch, because Lincoln McClutchy was good, but I don't think he was great last year.
And I think a part of that, so to kind of go through the fantasy MLR kind of impact, you look at first from the scrum half position, Connor Tupai, 115.5 fantasy points. I believe he was the number 1 scoring scrum half in all of fantasy last season, had that ceiling because he has that attacking play. Matthew's right. How is that split time now with Richard Judd going to play into that factor?
Yeah, they had, I mean, the whole point, the fantasy, like they had nobody else. Tupai, Judd, both of their seasons, they didn't really have any other 9, but now they go from a team that had 1 to now 2 guys that are starters in this league and excel in this league. So
I actually like from the fly half perspective, the Lincoln McClutchy situation when it comes to San Diego, because I think there was a little bit of skepticism coming into the season last year where you had McClutchy, Giteau, Henderson.
It's going to be the same thing this year.
It's going to be, but I think the gap and disparity between the concern that I have between McClutchy competing for time between Giteau and Henderson is a little bit less concerning between McClutchy, Rutherford, Yost, and the younger kid that they drafted in 2024. And
I think Yost is gonna take up some time here.
Okay, all right. So I guess we'll see. We'll see how that goes through. But again, I think those are one. Does the addition of Richard Judd? We saw how electric San Diego. This will be the last thing we touch it before we move on to the next team.
There's a lot to get through.
Does San Diego return to what they were like 2 years ago when they made the MLR Shield because of the return of Richard Judd? Is that a big part of them returning to the success that they saw before last year? Because obviously last year was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. There's so much turnover in that back line that I think it'll be difficult to tell. But if they can get to the fast-paced offense that they used to have, yeah, they're going to be in a better spot.
Any faith in Christian Poitevin returning to any fantasy relevance after the heartbreak that we had? I think he was on our bus show quickly here.
Yeah, I think he'll get there.
All right. Let's move on now to the Houston SaberCats here. A couple big returnings for there. Nathan Den Hout, second rower, is returning for the 2025 season. Johan Mumson is returning. Tuatala Tasi is returning for 2025. Pita Ane Asu is returning for next year. And then Andre Warner as well, which is a big one. Our second highest scoring fantasy scrum half last year, also coming back to the SaberCats. And then they add Sam Tuifua, one of the most electric, especially from a fantasy perspective, going to Houston through the dispersal draft from the Dallas Jackals for this upcoming year. Who are you most excited for there?
Bandy?
I'm in between Andre Warder and Pita Anasua.
Yeah.
I messed that one up for sure. But no, I mean, that guy has a front row. I think he scored over 100 points last year.
It was ridiculous.
Absolutely insane from a front row. Started in pretty much every game, played tons of minutes. I mean, that guy, Andre Warner, I think was he the MLR all scrum half? Didn't he win that over Tupai?
I'm
pretty sure he did. If I'm not mistaken.
He was sweet. He was sweet fantasy wise.
Yeah, he was. Both of those guys, I think, are huge returns for them.
Yeah, and I like Tuifua. I'm a bit skeptical on Warner just because I know they did draft Wandy Oliver in the dispersal draft. So what happens there will be interesting to see because both those guys are, again, starters in this league. I'd be skeptical on how that impacts fantasy wise.
Yeah.
But Tuifua, I think he's a guy that is going to be starting 8 for sure. And they're going to, like Houston, we know they're a team that uses the forwards a lot. And I think Tuifua is going to benefit from that a lot.
Value more or less him in a Dallas Jackals jersey or in a Houston SaberCats jersey?
I would say less because I think he's not going to find himself out in open space as much.
Sure.
Okay. He's going to be have to be very physical. And a lot of the stuff that he did last year was just pure athleticism.
All right, moving on to the Miami Sharks. Giuseppe Dutoit returning for 2025. Thomas Kubeli, scrum half, I believe captain, returning for 2025. Maake Muti signing for 2025, and then Thomas Inciarte, the center, returning for 2025 as well. A couple big marquee names. We know that the Miami Sharks kind of built around these guys, and to have them coming back is very, very reassuring for the Shark squad.
Yeah, Kubeli coming back. I mean, he is Miami Shark literally number one, their first ever signing. But I'm actually more excited about Inciarte. His fantasy impact and his versatility, fantasy-wise, I think is going to continue to show. And they're just going to get better as a team. And I think him at center position or at the 9 position is going to reap benefits from it.
Who's the 2 starting centers, at least that you feel most confident in that will be in the lineup a majority of the time out of the 3 centers that they've officially announced between Matthias Orlando, Giuseppe Dutoit, and Thomas Inciarte?
It's probably going to be Inciarte and Orlando, but I mean, yeah, I didn't see Nick Gregg anywhere. I don't know if he's maybe coming back. Or
I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't see him in any Super Rugby rosters, but
all right. Well,
we'll see. Really good
moving on to the Seattle Seawolves. Devault Coetzee officially signed for the 2025 season through the dispersal draft, replacing a guy that we're going to talk about here who signed with a golden variety here in just a little bit. Karan Van Vuren, front rower, signing for 2025, and Jesse McHale returning for 2025 there. It's going to be interesting to see where Coetzee kind of fits into that and whether or not he's going to reap the same rewards that he did with the Dallas Jackals, and especially with the departure of the marquee guy there in Seattle.
Yeah, I think for me, it was kind of interesting. You see Devault Coetzee sign, you see Tofetti sign with Nola Gold, and you get excited for Coetzee's fantasy value. And then you see they sign Karan Van Vuren.
Right.
They bring in another South African hooker. He comes in, and now you're kind of thinking, all right, now they got 2 great hookers. I think they'll both get formidable playing time. We know with hookers, it's usually a 60-40 split. But we'll just have to see kind of, Dewald, it's kind of similar. He had the similar situation last year where he had to win his starting job, and he did it. So maybe you can do it again this year.
All right, and then shifting on over, since we talked about it, the Nola Gold, Joe Tafetti, front row signing for the 2025 season with the Nola Gold. Cooper Coates also going to the Nola Gold as well, signing for the 2025 year, going to play at that back 3 position.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I, by the way, I just watched the video of Ed Fido. He's still living in NOLA. So assuming he's coming back again, even if they haven't announced, I don't know if they announced for 2 years or something. Maybe it was 2 years, but he is there. So he is training with them. Cooper Coates, another addition to that back three. Canadian sevens guy. He should be good. A nice addition. I still think they have a bit more to add though.
All right. And then now going on over to the New England Free Jacks, a couple, again, we talked about guys that are just, this is the marquee of stability in terms of returning guys through their success. Malachi Hala-Natai, front rower, returning. Foster Dewitt is returning. Isaac Olsen returning. Killian Coughlin returning for 2025. And then, in my opinion, the biggest one, Joe Johnson, returning for the 2025 year for the New England Free Jacks.
That back row room is ridiculous.
It is. It really is. That's going to now include, when I'm putting on this list, Jed Melvin, Vian Conradi, Yero Gomez-Vara, and now Joe Johnson.
I feel like fantasy-wise, though, like I'm a bit concerned in terms of how that share gets shared across all three, right? Like every additional talent that they add to that back row means that somebody loses the fantasy value that they once had before.
Yep.
And that's no longer going to have now. So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be really interesting to see how this shakes up.
Do they still have Seta Baker? Or did he?
So
we haven't heard anything of it as of yet. So I guess
he
we'll
was
see.
dope
But
for them.
Yeah, you add in that name as well. I mean, this back row list might get pretty long. To Maddie's point, may start having fantasy managers questioning what the heck they got to do in terms of their strategies heading into this season. All right, and then second last one, we're going to touch on Chicago Hounds. Ben Pollock signing for 2025, back three player, and Noah Flesh is joining his brother Mason Flesh, center, signing for the 2025 year.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we love to see brothers, but yeah, Ben Pollock, I think this is exactly what they need, like a fullback to come in. It seems like Carl Say is not returning, but they've filled in some really good positions here, right? They've got the 10 position locked. They bring in Pollock to fill in that fullback position. And they have the center's locked in too. I think the Chicago Hounds team, this backline, a lot of questions last year has turned into a lot of answers in this offseason.
Yeah, no, most definitely for sure. And then last but definitely not least, Vandy's Utah Warriors making a whole bunch of moves. We saved this for last as this will be a nice little segue into bringing on our guest of the show onto this show. But we'll go through the list of who they have returning for 2025. Paula Sike is returning next year. Zion Going, Thomas Tonga, and Saya Uhila all returning for 2025. And then, of course, the man that we're having on this episode, Emerson Prior, front rower, also returning for the 2025 season. But I think the biggest news coming from this Utah Warriors team, that is probably something that they're going to miss, but they'll find a way to fill it in. We'll talk to Emerson about this, is the official departure. Obviously, the question has been whether or not the number one scoring fantasy MLR player was going to be back here in North America for the 2025 Major League Rugby season, Michael Manson, and it looks like he will not, but for good reasons. He has made the Highlander squad, so it looks like he's using this as a stepping stone to get that Super Rugby experience. And it looks like that Manson will not be seen in a Utah Warriors jersey this year, which gives an opportunity for someone else to step up here. But again, a whole lot of big names that are returning at least for 2025.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely brutal losing Manson. I mean, you can try and shine a light on it and make it seem better. But, obviously the train keeps rolling. But yeah, that's a brutal one, but I'm really happy to see Paul Lasike coming back. That's a guy, when he's in, that veteran leadership, the way he can command those centers and just make sure, the big boys up front are doing the right thing. I think that's huge for us. I really like Zion Going coming back too. But yeah, I mean, sucks. Losing Michael Manson, it sucks.
Well, to be fair, we saw this with Tom Florence when he signed with the Chiefs. He may be back if he ends up not getting any playing time and says, all right, screw it, I'm going to go back to Utah. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Maybe you'll see him for a playoff run, but
if we make it there,
got to make it there first.
We'll see. But there is one man to ask that question to get insight into the Utah Warriors, and that is the guest of the show, who recently re-signed with the Utah Warriors. And we did find out definitely a big reason why he's returning with the Utah Warriors, and that is Emerson Prior. You guys ready to bring him on the show?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
And we are happy to bring on our next guest on this episode of the Fantasy Rucker Show, a guy that has been on a squad that has been in the mix of revamping their roster in this 2024 season, and that is front rower of the Utah Warriors, Emerson Prior. Emerson, Appreciate you hopping on the show, man. Appreciate you being here. I know Vandy has long awaited for this. He's the big in-house Utah Warriors guy. Emerson, appreciate you hopping on, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, fellas. Good to see Maddie's face again after all these years, and nice to meet you, Ryan and Vandy. Glad to hear you're a supporter of the Warriors, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, we were just talking off camera, Emerson, that we've been over the 4 years that we've been doing this podcast, we have been trying to convince Vandy, who knew nothing about rugby outside of just watching the haka. I think I showed him once on YouTube, like way back in the college days, which kind of hooked him. And then I said, hey, we got to send you, get you on a plane to Utah, get you to one of those talent camps. And now that we have you, Emerson, on the show, maybe you're our reference that we need to get Vandy a jersey and to actually play for the Utah Warriors. It might be a little bit harder than that, but we're optimistic
I'm
that
a
Vandy
30-year-old
strap on the boots.
dad of 2. I'm not.
Hey, we got a lot of dads on the team, man.
I guess
You'll be right at home.
I got that dad strength bump though.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, of course.
There you go. But anyways, Emerson, appreciate you hopping on, man. Before we hop into it, why don't you said it's been a little bit of time since you last spoke with Maddie. Why don't you guys go over kind of how you guys know each other, how he was able to get you to come on this show, and maybe any crazy stories you have of Maddie that we can embarrass him with.
It was a sweet talk. First of all, that's what got Emerson on. All right, I sweet talked him as the usual. Got him to play easy on me and euchre and stuff back in the days. But no, Emerson and I never actually did. We ever play Ontario together? No, we only played Canada.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So we played Canada U18 or something. Toured Wales together. Him and Mick Rogers, teamed up in euchre against myself, and he had a tough time. Usually, sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Usually I had a tough time.
I was trying to think who your partner was. It must have been Owen.
It had to be Curly.
We played a fair bit of euchre on that Wales tour. That was awesome.
Oh yeah,
good.
Hell of a game too.
Any as a 9 that was maybe play on your roster way back in those days, Emerson? You think Maddie's job was adequate back in his playing days, or what?
No.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I from what I recall, Maddie got around the park pretty well, and he had a pretty nice seat on him. So, yeah.
I think that's
got around the park pretty slowly there.
Yeah, I remember
got around just slowly.
Yeah, he was definitely the 9 with the biggest quads and calves going around. So
hey, that was something.
I couldn't pick him up and put him down.
You know what did happen to you, Matt? Like, come on.
No, those
off.
What was it? ACL tear?
Called retirement.
We don't need. Yeah, that's a story for a different day. But again, Emerson, appreciate you hopping on, man. Obviously, the big news that we want to bring you on this show is what I alluded to. The Utah Warriors had not been quiet this offseason, that's for sure. And one of those big re-signings has been you. So just congratulate you here on the show. You got the bag, I guess, is what we can say. And you're returning to the Utah Warriors. Pumped to see. Obviously, it's the squad that you've been on for the entirety of your MLR career so far, man. But just how excited are you to be back with the Utah Warriors for 2025, and how pumped you are for this upcoming season?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ryan. Yeah, very exciting, man. We definitely have had a lot of turnover the past couple of years. If Utah is anything, it's definitely exciting. We like to keep our fans on their toes rather. Very excited to get going. We have an exciting new group. Sad to see a lot of the other fellows go from last year. Just unfortunately a bit of the nature of it sometimes. People make decisions, and then that's just the business. But we've signed some really good players, some good names coming over. Hopefully blend in with the experience we have here and bring in some players. Yeah, I'm really excited. Should be good.
And what's that feeling like when I don't think any other team had that type of mass exodus, or at least maybe it was just the way that Utah announced it. But
max exodus.
How does
hell of a way to put it?
Hey,
hey,
the only way
Emerson is still there, man. So it couldn't have.
That
been
is true. So I will say, I was very glad that your face was not in that graphic. So I was happy about that. But yeah, man, what's the feeling like when you see that? Like, are you aware of that beforehand? Do you kind of have a sense of what guys are staying, what guys are leaving, or is that kind of you're finding out at the same time as everybody else's?
Yeah, great question, Maddie. I was also pretty glad to not see my face in that graphic, believe it or not. No, it was definitely a mix. So I think they had already, by the end of the season, I mean, we have kind of about a week. Everyone sticks around for about a week after the season. All the international guys or guys that don't live in Utah locally stick around, and we have, our banquet and kind of exit interviews and stuff. And I think there was maybe a group of about 5 to 8 guys that knew straight away that, like, okay, yeah, unfortunately not going to be re-signed or brought back. And then maybe the other, I mean, they got rid of 17, right? So the other half of guys have kind of been over the next or the past couple months. They've had those conversations over the phone. But yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, you build such good camaraderie with a lot of guys, become good mates, kind of get bone deep connections going, and then just unfortunately things don't work out in everyone's favor. I mean, it might be the boys' decision to leave. Obviously, with Utah, we've had a couple up and down seasons, or just a coaching or GM sort of thing. Like, now we want to move in a different way. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, but that's that.
Cool. Vandy, you got anything that you want to ask about your Utah? I mean, you're getting little inside notes there. I mean, as our number one fan here, there's got to be something you need to know from the Utah Warriors, right?
So the outlook of next year, how are we feeling, like, compared to where did we finish last year? I believe it was 5th in the Western Conference.
Yeah, it was.
Obviously hoping for a higher seeding than that, but I guess, have you guys got together yet, or still not at all, like, as a unit yet?
No, not together as a unit. We had one Zoom meeting. There's still some boys playing in leagues around the world. I know there's a guy playing, 2 guys playing the URC at the moment, and a fella maybe finishing up his stuff in France. But we haven't got together yet. That'll be January, like early January, like everyone else kind of report date. I'm actually down visiting my girlfriend in Utah at the moment. So there's a local group of guys that are maybe 10 of us that are still ripping around. We just go into the HQ and train.
Nice.
Yeah, had an unfortunate season last year, man. Just very strange go of it. Had some really good talent, a lot of good cattle. We brought in a new coaching group. So a couple new coaches who are like awesome dudes, very good coaches, really high ceiling, but still new to coaching. And I think just a mixture of a bunch of things led us to not really be as successful. I think we maybe got our cohesion a little wrong in terms of our culture and the way we gelled together. Because we had a big turnover my second year going to third year. And so my first year we had a different coach who we sacked halfway through the season, which was a tough mission for the boys. And then we brought in our new coach, Greg, but he pretty much, he kind of came in the first year to like kind of see how things run. So last year, this past season was pretty much his first year, if that makes sense. So hopefully, yeah, I think I've been kind of knocking around the facility, and it seems like in terms of our goals, that we want to be top 2 in our conference, which the cattle we're bringing in, man, like definitely something that we can achieve. It just depends if we get all the other stuff right. Guys got to show up healthy, fit, ready to go. We got to get our culture right from day one, get around each other a bit more. Yeah, but it's interesting. We have, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just adding on to what you were mentioning about starting healthy. Like, that was kind of an issue at the start of last year. Mono went out. It was supposed to be really scary, potentially season ending. And add in a couple injuries. Paul CK missed a bunch of games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not even to mention the other stuff I said, like the injuries really, really set us back. I know my good mate Spencer Jones is like stalwart center, man, such a good player. Just had some of the worst string of luck I've ever seen of a player. A lot of forwards, a lot of the back line. I think one of our games we were missing a lot of our starting backs.
You guys ran out of centers. You guys ran out of centers to use.
Literally,
we did, man. We did. So that definitely really put us in a tough spot to compete. But yeah.
So there's a few things that I got from that answer there, Emerson. One of them is, now I know why you re-signed in Utah. The girlfriend is in Utah, so I can probably foresee that you're probably going to be one of those staple guys that might be sticking around Utah for a little bit longer, huh? At least until the girlfriend says, you know what, it's okay that we can get out of here, huh?
That's right, man. That's right. You nailed it.
That's funny. But I guess just kind of touching on a little bit on last season again to kind of go into some of those points before we kind of move forward here to the optimism and some of these guys that are incoming. Obviously, one of the biggest pieces of news that we talked about here before this interview was obviously the rosters of Super Rugby have been coming out, and one of those guys that have kind of used the MLR as a stepping stone to make that jump into what we consider one of the most premier leagues in the entire world is Michael Manson. And obviously he set the league on fire last year with what he was able to do. I won't spoil it, but I'll let you know, at least when it comes to fantasy ranking, he was our best fantasy player, which is probably not surprising in all of our players that we have on our database. What's he like as a player? Like taking the pitch with him, like explain to me what makes Michael Manson so good and why we're now seeing him in a Highlanders jersey and why it's not surprising for you, who's been a guy that's been around him, to see him now playing Super Rugby.
And how much faster are you in a 40?
Man, I'd be starting my 40 by the time he's done, man. He is absolutely rapid. Manson, first of all, just such a good dude. Salt of the earth, like South Island boy, kind of a farm boy. Very funny character. Really good around the boys. Kind of keeps himself. We always take the piss at him. We'd say he treats himself like a Ferrari because he is a Ferrari. But he's like allergic to gluten. He can't have dairy. Allergic to cocoa or chocolate. Like we're just like
one of those guys.
Yeah,
always those ones that are the studs.
Makes sense. Unfortunately, I have none of those allergies, so that must be why I'm so slow or something. I don't know. But no, yeah. So taking the field with him, man. Like he came in. He had a couple, maybe one or two. I actually don't know how many years he had with the Stags, the NPC team, the Southland Stags, for a bit before he came in. And I just heard word around the street when he signed with us. Some of my buddies from New Zealand, like, oh yeah, this guy's fast. He's a good player. He'd be good to have around. And then, yeah, when he rocked up, man, he just like, although he's pretty young, he was really helpful with us, our domestic guys, some of the other wingers, just fit into the squad really well and just tore it up like every game, just something electric. I mean, there was that one try
it was nuts.
He scored. I think it might have been against LA. I can't remember what team it was, but he'd caught the ball off a set piece move like behind his back and just took it to the house. And you're just like, man, his body like shakes when he runs. He's so fast. Yeah.
It's nuts. And don't you feel lucky that you got the opportunity to run after him just in case?
Yeah, that's right.
Needed somebody to pass it to?
Yeah, exactly. I think I'd make it to like the 40 and then he'd be in the try zone. And yeah, something like that. Yeah. No, but it was a great experience playing with him. I'm delighted for him. I shot him a message yesterday and just said, man, congrats, well deserved. What a pleasure and all the best kind of deal. So
yeah. Is it cool as a player to kind of see that? Obviously, the MLR knows its spot in the rugby world, right? We know that a lot of guys are using this to kind of make a name for themselves, whether that's to reestablish themselves in the rugby scene or whether that's to launch their career. Is it cool as a player to know that you'll get noticed? Like if you tear up the league in the MLR, like teams are going to see you and you'll get that shot to maybe one day, suit up for a Super Rugby team or a Premiership team or what have you. Because there have been a handful of players that I've used the MLR to get that tape.
Yeah, it's awesome just to see that happen for some of the boys. I know my second year we signed a young fella, Henry Bell. Unbelievable dude, got on super well.
Beast.
Yeah, such a beast. He came here for a year. He had actually already pre-signed with the Highlanders. But yeah, just to see like someone come here from afar, tear it up, and then be like, all right, moving on now. Awesome to see. Such a good experience for especially some of those younger Kiwis. I feel like maybe play a couple years at NPC, not really picking up any gigs in terms of super, and then they fly over here and then they're straight back on the plane. Good NPC season, and then they're into it.
Really, really cool.
I got a couple a two-part here as we're talking about players. And last year, Phil Bradford, I believe, is leaving or already left. But I guess I wanted to understand from your perspective, like he's a vet. How what was it like working with him? How much were you learning from him? And was he kind of that mentor of the group in some ways in the front row room?
Phil Bradford, the hooker. He's coming back.
Oh, he's coming back.
Yeah.
See, messed up. Oh, sorry. It's Paul Mullen.
Oh, Paulie Mullen. Yeah.
Not Phil Bradford. Paulie Mullen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Mullen. He's the vet. He's the vet of the group.
He is.
Was he a mentor for you guys and for that front row room?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I was really excited when I first got drafted and got the opportunity to go down to Utah to work with Paulie. He is something else. He's a very funny character, always like doing a bit or pulling a prank on someone. But when it comes to game time, man, that guy is scrum all day. He definitely knows his way around the engine room. So much experience in the front row. I literally, yeah, tell this to everyone, like I was more revved up for a Thursday scrum session against Paul than I would be for the game on the Saturday, just
Let's
because I
go.
knew he was going to put me under so much pressure. And
Hey,
he has a really high, he demands a lot from himself and from his players or his other front rows, and he was awesome to work with. Yeah, what a pleasure. And yeah, I
yeah.
wish him the best at NOLA. He's off to NOLA now, so he always said money talks, so money must have been talking.
That is
There
true.
you go.
Hey, anytime you get to learn from a guy who is playing around crouch, touch, pause, engage,
Yeah,
that guy knows some stuff, right?
yeah,
That guy
that's
knows
right.
some stuff.
That's
That
right.
that's I guess now those Thursday scrum sessions are going to translate to whenever you have NOLA coming up on that calendar then, huh, Emerson? You're going to be able to mark that down, be just as pumped up for that Saturday game, I guess, to get to go to head against an old buddy. I guess last player before we kind of move on to kind of some other things that happened this offseason. I think it's one of Vandy's favorite guys, so I'll ask it for him on his behalf. We got to talk about Joel Hodgson. I mean, that
Uh-oh, is he
guy.
back, Emerson?
That guy is electric from the boot. Talk about consistency. Again, another guy that, at least in our fantasy MLR circles, is a guy that a lot of people would like to have on their roster. Take me into what Joel Hodgson is like kind of behind the scenes. And I guess that's $1 million question. If you can't answer, we haven't seen anything yet, whether or not he's coming back next year.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure if I can answer that, but I will say that yeah, Joel is such a character, man. He is just such an Englishman. I really like the way Joel plays the game. He's super fierce. He demands such a high standard amongst the players and especially for himself. Yeah, he definitely is. He's hard on the boys, but it's a tough love sort of deal. And yeah, he was just great to have him over here. I think his first year was last season, so 2023 or 2022. Can't remember, but either way, yeah, it brings a wealth of experience. Obviously played in the Premiership for a very long time,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
really earned his spot there. And yeah, came in just such good leadership. Definitely, he's just a crotchety fella. Like he just you don't want to piss him off for sure. He's good. I
Hey,
like
what was
Joel.
it like? What was it like playing with the Cruze brothers too? Like
Oh
getting them
man,
both on the squad last year.
yeah. Funny enough, so my first year at Utah, I lived with Mika and one other fella that got drafted as well, Joey Becky, and we had a great little apartment going. A lot of good fun. Played a lot of cards, a lot of Catan. Um, and then the next year, I lived with Mika again, and then again last year. So I lived with Mika for 3 years. I'd say we got pretty
Oh,
close as anyone can get to Mika, man. He is a one of a kind fella.
hell yeah.
Yeah, he's the man. Really, really sad to see him go. And his brother Isaiah is like possibly even quieter. So yeah, so he lived with us as well last year. So I lived with Mika and Isaiah and Spencer Jones. And that was a
Oh,
great house. We
nice.
we had some good fun. But yeah, no, I'm delighted for Mika to head down to Seattle, or head up to Seattle. And I know he'll keep tearing it up. He's honestly probably one of the most talented people I've ever met. But
I
yeah.
guess another guy to add to
Yeah.
the list into
This
the
hit
calendar
list.
that you'll be looking forward to coming back to.
Bulletin
Yeah.
board material for Utah. Love to see
There you
it.
go.
That's
There
right,
you
man.
go. Whatever will motivate you. I guess then let's move on to the off season then, since we're talking about some of the movement that's happening around. I guess the first thing we got to get the elephant out of the room, Emerson, is obviously didn't really have much to do with you yourself, but as someone who's in the league, we like asking this question to the players that are kind of around it. Obviously, to see the Dallas Jackals depart, right, and kind of not be any longer in the league and have the dispersal draft and have guys kind of be shifted around the league. It sounds like the league is still in a strong place, especially seeing how many signers are coming through. And we've always said on this show that this league has persevered through a lot of different things, whether it be COVID, whether it be other teams that have folded in the past, whether that's the Giltini experiments and the Grony experience to what happened just last year with New York and Toronto and Atlanta. as a player in the league, what's kind of your vibe and what's the feeling that you get with conversations that you either have with your teammates or even just other players around the league about the stability of the league and being confident that you'll be able to suit up year after year and be a long stay here in Major League Rugby?
Yeah, great question, Ryan. Definitely very interesting topic of discussion. And yeah, really, really sad to see the Dallas Jackals go. Very surprised as well. I mean, I do feel like unfortunately when a team gets they fold or they're not able to enter the next year, it's always some sort of random type of something, obviously, with the unfortunate situation with the Arrows, and then the New York last year, and then Dallas. I actually don't have a clue what happened there, but really sad just to see, just because they had a ripper of a season, man, and they were really building something special. Also, sad for a bunch of the Canadian fellas that all had to kind of find their own way out. But yeah, and I think, to be honest, something about Utah, because we're one of the original teams as well, we have such a strong foundation. Just in terms of like the buy-in here, I think we have good fan base.
Yeah.
We just spent good amount of money and a good investment into like a headquarters facility, which is like outrageous, world class, so nice. So I don't think there's ever been any sort of wavering or thought from any of the boys like, oh, like hopefully Utah sticks it out for another year, just because I think they've been so integral since the start in terms of the foundation of the league. But yeah, I mean, again, you also never know as well. So
Yeah.
definitely one of those things where like I don't know anything about the business side of any of it, so I'm not going to speak to that. But you're just like
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here and to be a part of the league while it's going, and I hope that it keeps hanging on and keeps building. And I do see it happening. Obviously, we've got the World Cup coming 2031. So if we can hang on till then, I think things will be really big after that. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things, and we've discussed on the show, and I think it goes to show with Vandy being a Utah Warriors fan is how strong and how foundational, like you mentioned, this Utah Warriors fan base is. And I mean, you just watch, like, it's easy to compare, and I think Maddie and Vandy will agree with this. When you watch it on TV and you see kind of the different atmospheres that you get from the different stadiums and venues around the league, like Utah is always up there in terms of
They are.
that
Yeah.
venue. And I guess that leads
right
to the
up
question, how cool is it to step out onto that field when you have mountains in the background
Yeah,
and it's
man.
just it seems like one of the coolest places to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Ryan. It is outrageous. Not only is it just such a nice view, like mountains in the background, really cool stadium, just the fans, man, just
Mm.
roaring. Like there was a couple games, I'm not sure if it was this past season, the season before, where we had like sold out crowd, packed all around. There's this guy named Big Buddha that does all these chants and stuff. It really Americanizes the rugby side of things, but man, it's such a cool thing to be a part of. You run out there, you do the anthem, they get the fireworks going and shit. It's awesome, man. Yeah, such a good
Vandy,
Hell yeah.
experience.
Hell
Vandy,
yeah.
sure you're not taking a flight to Utah? Are you Big Buddha? I feel like that'd
I'm
be
pretty
I
sure we
feel-
gotta go. Gotta go.
I just
gotta
ripped,
go meet
I
Big
ripped my
Buddha.
mask off.
Yeah. But okay, then let's get into kind of the signs. I know Maddie will probably have some deeper questions about some of these players that are coming to your squad now. Like we mentioned, Utah was one of the busier teams when it came to the guys that were coming through. Obviously, there was a little bit concern. I'll tell you, if we could pull up a video of Vandy and his concern when that first 17 player social media post came out that there were this many guys
Ruh-roh.
departing. It was like, what the heck is going on? Like, what are we going to have? And then that optimism or that level of concern quickly shifted when you just had a funnel of signings coming down the list. And we can go down it, like in terms of new guys, like you got Liam Coltman, Aki Seui, Remzi Lamasio, Gavin Thornbury, Logan Crowley, Kyle Brown, D'Angelo Leuila. And then the guys that have been in the league before, you got Jordan Trainer coming, Nick Ben through the dispersal draft, Fako Osi Pifoletti, Fredapulu. I mean, these are guys that are marquee name guys. And it seems like the Warriors have not lost a step in terms of the talent that you have in your squad. When you saw these signings, take me to your reaction, how pumped you are to have kind of this fresh view and fresh kind of crop of players coming in.
Yeah, absolutely stoked, man. It's gonna be so sweet. Just reading some of those names and even not knowing them straight away, but like looking into some of the boys after they got signed. I'm like, wow, we've actually signed some serious talent here. Like I said, really sad to see some of the other fellows go. But agreed. Yeah, Utah hasn't missed a step in re-signing different guys as well. Like, man, just adding, guys like Aki, Liam, Fred, like to the front row, just to get into the mixer, bring some really good leadership. Obviously, a lot of experience, a lot of super caps between a couple of those fellas. Just really excited to have them come down, keep building our front row, working with our domestic guys, working with our other, just gelling with the boys, and just kind of hopefully starting off the season really hot. Yeah, it's super exciting, man.
Yeah, you guys got some sweet New Zealand connection, like
Yeah.
some sort of North Island or South Island. You got all the islands, some connection from there. I mean, you got old Dylan Nell, you got Tamara McGunn, Cal Brown. I mean, I'm a North Harbor guy, so Tamaro, I think he's going to be pretty sweet for you boys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Completely agree. Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps. We got some Kiwi coaches that definitely back their Kiwi boys, but hey, those Kiwis are bloody good at rugby, man. I tell you what.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
there you go. It's not a
Can't
bad thing.
complain.
It's
yeah,
not a bad thing. I guess then
absolutely
we'll
not.
go deeper into the front row aspect of things. I guess on a serious note, how excited are you to work with some of these guys? You mentioned Liam, Aki, Fred, Apulu, Fakaosi, Pifoletti coming through. How excited are you to work with these guys? And do you feel as being one of the right now, at least officially confirmed guys that is coming back who's been in the front row and has been with the Utah Warriors, do you feel like you have a responsibility on your shoulders to kind of show them the ways of what it means to be a Utah Warrior, whether that's from a play style or game plan perspective, or even just from a culture point of view? And then I guess my unserious question to follow up on that, you're taking these guys out to a Utah Warrior, a
Steak
Utah
dinner.
type thing. Where are you taking these guys? Do you have a spot in mind? I mean, obviously you're the one with the girlfriend there. You're the
Oh,
one that's been kind of established and got roots
take me
in
to the
Utah. It sounds like you might know where you can take these guys to fully get a welcome to Utah experience.
new NHL
Bible
team.
Belt. Only one place to go in the Bible Belt.
That's right, man. That's right. Yeah, maybe just mass on Sunday, man. I think would be the yeah. No, unfortunately, I haven't made it out to any of those yet, but that's a really good question, Ryan. I'll answer the second one first. There's a bar that some of the boys have gone to here and there called the Westerner, which is a really good. It's a good country bar, which is kind of it's kind
Okay.
of in a random spot, and it's a bit of an electric night out. So maybe if the boys are keen, once we want to do some of that culture building, we'll get the boys down there. But
That's how you do it.
yeah,
Nice.
that's right, man. That's right.
That's
I'm
right.
not much of a line dancer, but
I
yeah,
get a couple in you, then you turn into one.
that's right, man. No, so and in terms of these new front row guys coming in, absolutely, man. We are part of our feedback from last year and stuff we're trying to build is our what is our Utah identity, and those are the whole thing about Utah is from the people that started Utah. You come to Utah, you work hard, you make Utah better, Utah makes you better. Like that's the equation, right? So we're trying to build that identity and build that culture. And yeah, I'm just really, really looking forward to meeting these guys. And of course, like, yeah, showing them like, yeah, this is what Utah's all about, but also learning from them as well. Like you've got like a guy like Aki, like we're both loose heads. He's got, so many super games under his belt now, currently playing for the Dragons. Like, man, just stoked to soak up everything from him, and go to head with him, but also learn lots. So yeah.
All right. Well, don't be surprised if in maybe a few weeks they announce the signing of Devin Vandy Vanderpool and he's coming with you to the Westerner.
That's right,
And
man.
so that
Yeah,
make sure
I'm
make sure
getting
you
the
take care of it.
1 day contract. We're going out.
There you go.
Love it, man.
But he's only appearing for that culture building session. Once the contracts end
He
there is
needs
no
it.
him. There
He
is no
needs it.
appearing for the first game. He's out. He's just there to line dance with you, and then he's bouncing back.
I'll show you a thing or two.
That's right,
There you
man. That's
go.
right.
But now that sounds super exciting, and I mean, you mentioned it before. That I obviously the goal is. I think what's been interesting with his Utah team, Emerson, at least from the outside looking in, has always been heading into every year. There's been a lot of optimism and hope for this team with just the level of talent that you guys have, and it's just whether what like factors kind of go into obviously it's a long season and a lot of different things go into it, and that's what sports is, but it always just seems that Utah falls a little bit short
Hey,
of kind of getting to that point. Is that what the goal is making playoffs? And you said what, top two in the conference, that's the goal?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ryan. I mean, every year I've been a part of the Warriors. It's been, where we want to compete, we want to be in the playoffs. And unfortunately, just ball hasn't bounced our way a couple of the times.
yeah.
Unfortunately, like we said last year with injuries, culture's like, maybe the boys are just not gelling as well. Tough turnover, new coaching staff, new coaches, whatever you want to call it. Just been kind of unfortunate, but I do think again, yeah, man, the only way is forward. Like we're looking optimistic. We're ready to rock. Again, we've signed some big guys. Yeah, hopefully you have a good start to the season and we just keep building and then slide into playoffs, and then once it's playoffs, it's anyone's game, man. So yeah,
Man, love to
optimistic
hear
for
it.
sure.
There we go. We always finish off our interviews, and this is probably our favorite part of the show when we talk with players. You can determine after we reveal these to you whether it's your favorite part or not. I know some players are excited, but we always got to talk a little bit about fantasy rugby and fantasy MLR. So it's time to let you kind of stew a little bit and maybe guess and play the guessing game on where you kind of sit among the fantasy landscape and where you may rank across it. Obviously, Emerson, we understand. We understand, coming off the bench, that sometimes the reserve having those big games, you may not be up there with the Michael Mansons, but still had some pretty reputable games there when you did play. I know Maddie will back you any day of the week when it comes to that, when you're taking the field. If you had to guess what you finished as in terms of fantasy points total in the fantasy season, how many points do you think you got? Before you answer that, I'll give you something to reference it. I will give you what Michael Manson got, and then you can gauge what you think you got based on what Michael Manson got. So Michael Manson scored 242.1 fantasy points. That's the number one player in all of fantasy. Now, where does Emerson Prior stack up against Michael
Emerson's
Manson?
faster.
Yeah.
Better steps.
Yeah,
So what? I think
there's
300
only one way.
points, right?
Yeah, no one's seen us race head to head. But it'd probably have to be in a car to beat him. Okay, yeah. So I guess I'd have to know a little bit more how you get them. But if hitting breakdowns, you can get.
We calculate meters gained,
Okay.
tries, try assists, tackles, and breakdown steals. And if you play a full 70 minutes, you get a bonus in that too.
Okay.
Sorry, Emerson. No scrum points for you.
No scrum points, man. I'm sorry.
No bonuses either. Okay. All right.
Those tackles though.
Yeah, maybe like I have no idea. Maybe like wait, so would every tackle be a point?
The tackle is point
0.3,
I believe.
Okay. So maybe I'd have like 10, 15 points. I don't know. I have no idea.
That's
you got more than that, buddy.
I think every time we've had someone on the show, they're always a little bit more what's the word? A little bit generous in terms of what they think of themselves. You got 16.1. That's pretty good.
All right.
16.1 points. That's pretty solid. If you had to guess the highest number of points that you scored in one match, how many points do you think you scored? And can you guess what game that was from last season?
Oh, I like that.
You scored that.
Yeah, I think it would have to be the New England game. Because I think I made the most tackle. I think that was my most tackles in a game. I think it was maybe like 14 or something like that. So I don't know what kind of points that would be, but it would probably be my New England game.
Okay, so 16. What was the New England? The third last game of the week.
Yeah,
that was what it was. So that's what, round 15, or round 16. You're right, man.
Yeah.
5 points.
Bang
a
on.
third of your points came out of that one match. You got 13 tackles, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. 13
minutes.
tackles. Your second highest of the season, or third highest, with 11 meters gained. So you keep putting in that work. You're about 150 short from what Michael Manson usually puts up in a game.
Well,
but
to be fair, if you put up 5 points as a front row, you're pretty much an every week play.
Yeah, true.
That's true.
And
just to interject, I just want to say congrats on setting your career in game starts, tackles, and meters gained.
Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate that.
While we chop you down real quick, I thought I'd build you back up.
Well, leave it to the Utah Warriors fan to build you back up, right?
Yeah, we need you guys.
Has all the faith in that. If you had to guess who the top scoring forward on the Utah Warriors was, obviously Michael Manson was the top scoring back in all of fantasy. Who do you think the top scoring forward was?
Oh, it's got to be my boy Frankie Lahore, surely.
Yes, sir.
I think you are right. Let me pull it up here.
yeah.
Well, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been old Dylan Nell if he didn't decide to kick somebody in the head.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's
That
true.
might be true.
It would've
But
been Dylan Nell.
Frank Lahore, 168.2 fantasy points. So
Man.
a monster. I had him on
Absolute
my
engine.
fantasy squad. Guy was fantastic.
Yeah.
Double-digit tackles, 18 tackles one match. Just ridiculous. 3 breakdown steals in that as well. Just electric up there. But now
Yeah, Emerson. After everybody comes on the show, they seem to have a great breakout season. So this
Yeah.
is your year, man.
Yeah, there
This
we
is
go.
your
That's
year.
right.
I appreciate
This
that,
is
man.
your-
I'm
And
actually
there
coming back
is-
from. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead. Where you come back from?
Coming back
Oh, I
from
come back from a knee injury. So in that New England game, I don't know if you get any points for this, but I did tear my meniscus. So
Oh,
Um,
know
so-
that.
plus
I'm coming
2.
back. So yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can chalk those up. Yeah, so I'm coming back. So it's been
Oh, buddy.
yeah, it's good.
Hell
But
yeah.
I should
How's
be
the
back
knee
for
feeling?
preseason. So yeah, it's good. It's coming
Yeah.
along, man. I'm probably 4.5 months out of the 6 months. So
Oh.
I should be just back for preseason and
Oh,
be
hell
ready to
yeah.
rip into it.
The
So,
weapon.
Yeah,
that's
no, it'll be
right.
good. And Maddie's right. Seems to be breakout season. When we had Andrew Quattrin on for the first time on this show, he broke out with the New England Free Jacks pretty good when he took over that starting role. There's also, speaking of Q, there is a coalition. If you throw Jake Turnbull in that too, there's a coalition of front rowers that are pushing for us to add scrum points and bonuses for prop players.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to sign that coalition where it's
Yeah.
under adjudication here on the official fantasy Ruckers? But we are listening to concerns
We
that
hear
front
you.
rowers do have.
Yeah, I'm very happy to support the fellow boys up front. Yeah, for sure.
There you go. Who do you think the best last question? Who do you think the best non-hooker front row fantasy player was? Obviously, hookers are going to get a lot of points because they
Yeah.
score the tries. But who's the best non-hooker front rower in all of the league?
Non-hooker front rower. Okay, maybe I know Jake Turnbull scored a lot of tries, so maybe him or Jack Cascaro gets through a fair bit of
Okay.
work when he plays, so
You're
maybe him
pretty-
as
you're
well.
pretty- You're pretty. Jake Turnbull was the highest scoring front rower, but the only reason why I bring up that question is because Emerson Pryor is going to be the 2025 highest front
There
rower.
we
right
go.
there.
That's right.
That's the only reason why
We'll
I
see,
get it.
man. We'll see.
But hey, great to hear that a lot of things are going well for you. I'm glad that your recovery is going well. And we're super stoked. I know Vandy's super stoked as a Warriors fan. That there's a lot of optimism and excitement heading into this league, man. But we appreciate you hopping on and talking with us and giving some insight, Emerson.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was good to meet you fellas and good to see you again, Maddie. So thanks.
And thanks again to Emerson Pryor
What
for
a legend.
joining the show. I
I miss that guy.
He's a
Yeah.
beauty, man. That guy is a beauty.
It seems like you guys are pretty close. He missed you, man. It seemed authentic.
Well, look, I mean, we did play a lot of euchre on
He
that
said you
tour.
had big quads and calves. Biggest, I think, is what he said.
Yeah, but those words got thrown around a lot. I wasn't too sure how to believe
you
them.
know,
And
but
it's
you
not
did
like
used to be thick back.
it's not
in the
like
day.
it's not like the quads contributed to speed. So that was the issue as well. But no, it was nice to chat with the guy. It's been a long time. Yeah, it's always nice connecting. Like same time when we talked to Brock. I mean, the last time I talked to him was back probably on that tour. So yeah, it's been a hot minute. But Merce is a special one in my heart.
Cool to see, man. But yeah, a lot of cool insight. Vandy, talking to your first Utah Warriors guy, what was your favorite part? Kind of learning about a little bit more about your squad. It sounds like, hey, you might hook us up and maybe we'll get a few more
Hey,
Utah Warriors guys in your
Joel.
squad.
My favorite part was that 1 day contract I'm going to get and go to the bar with him. But
There we
no,
go.
he seems like a very positive guy, and what I liked is him kind of saying, we got to grow what his detriment or not detriment. What's important to Utah? You know what I mean? And really build kind of the team, and then let the team take care of you. So that was cool. I mean, when you see that, as you called it, the exodus of players leaving,
Mass exodus.
it's nice to see. It's nice to see there's still light at the end of the tunnel.
It was
Yeah.
funny. It was funny to get it from him where he was like, yeah, I was pretty pumped to not see my face on that picture too. Like,
Yeah.
You see all that, you're like, what?
Vandy, I think you should be excited about the fact that he's excited about the guys coming in.
Yeah.
I think when you're excited on the team and you're excited about the new players that are
Yep.
coming into the system, that's always a good sign because the guys on the team do their research. They want to know who exactly and what they're going to be playing with. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great sign. The other thing is he's got he's good media trained. He was able to keep that
Yes, he
real
was.
tight about Joel.
I was just gonna say
He didn't
We
say
tried
word.
to
He didn't
sneak that
I was
in
trying
there.
To, I was trying to see what tenses he was going to be using.
that tells me
Was
for
he going
some
to be
reason
using the
he's
future?
coming back. He's coming back.
Yeah, see,
coming back.
he was trying so hard to not say anything about him being involved in the future. He's got to be coming back.
Yeah,
We'll
I mean,
that's what I
mean, there's no other 10 signing. Where's the other 10? There has to be another 10 signing.
Vandy. They're waiting for Vandy to come down.
Boys,
Oh,
the
yeah.
last thing I do is kick.
All right. Well, hey, again, thank you to Emerson Prior for joining the show. I think we put him on that long list of friends of the show here on the Fantasy Ruckers again.
Let's go.
Always team player on this podcast, and we love to hear more insight into that and be able to support these guys around the league because we do love watching them each and every week, especially Vandy when it comes to Utah Warriors guys. All right, you ready to hop into our last segment of the show? It's quickly become my least favorite segment here, but we got to do it, and I'll bite my tongue. But we do have Devin's Degenerate Dambles, brought to you by Betstamp to get through here. Vandy and I have been going head to head when it came to our TFR betting challenge that Betstamp has helped put together to kind of learn more about the betting space in rugby. And Betstamp has kindly put together and helped us partnered with this segment to give our viewers the opportunity at some new user bets and sportsbooks available in their area, something I've taken advantage of, something that Vandy has taken advantage of through this betting challenge. But I've quickly allowed that to all go away. All those free bets that I got through Betstamp and the offers that they have, it's gone. It is officially zero. Nada.
Hey, if the people out there want to help Ryan out, get him in the show some funds to be able to get back in this. You just got to use the link. You just got to use the link and sign up for some of the sites.
Signupexpert.com/thefantasyruckers. You find that down
There
below.
we go.
All kidding aside,
you're pooped, buddy.
some great deals. I guess what is this? Is this you won, Vandy? Is that what we're saying now? You're the champion.
I'm gonna let you back in. Wait. I'm gonna let you back in because I got a heart of gold. But I want you to look into this mic and say, "Mercy, please."
Hold on.
Wait.
To be fair, Ryan's technically not out.
He has a $2 future bet.
That is true.
Mercy.
That is true.
Mercy.
I do have a $2. No, screw it. I ain't saying that because I forgot.
If you say mercy, I'll let you back in for $20.
No,
but
you're gonna let me in.
But
you're gonna let me in already.
If you win, I only pay you $30.
You only pay me $30 instead of $50.
Yeah, we take that $20. You can add it, and it'll be deduced.
Okay,
that.
I see what.
But if I win,
I
win $70 from you. That's right. You want to buy back in? It was $50. You're buying back.
I'm now starting to.
I thought he just had to say mercy.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that I just need to hang on to my plus 900 2-line bet to win the top 14 league that I put $2 on to win $20.
When does that settle?
No.
Like, when does that settle? A couple months?
Yeah, but there are 2 more weeks of solid autumn internationals that we need to.
It is true. All right,
I'll just keep growing my league.
Because hey, Ryan, you were close, man. You were close.
This is the second bad beat that I've had. This year.
Yeah.
Now, Maddie, you explain it to the people. I can't. It sickens me.
Scoring.
Look, Australia scored in the 80th minute to win, and you had the money line on England. Right, that's a tough one. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect the Southern Hemisphere decide to go for a sweep.
Yeah.
Honestly, I should have told you guys Fiji was going to win against Wales, but yeah,
it's tough. It was tough. So Ryan is down to $0 minus a $2 futures bet that will get decided in about a couple months' time. But you know what? I'll take Vandy is offer on that. You know what? I'll put in. I have $15 left on my DraftKings account.
Okay, 15 done.
We'll put $15 in, and I'll tell Vandy. I'll look in the camera right now. Half mercy, because technically, I still have that futures bet in there, and if I get that back, I'm putting away $15, and I'll be left with $5 there. But we got to keep this fun, and we'll keep it going.
I want you to somehow win with that futures bet. In a way, I do want you to win.
It would be funny. $33 is in Vandy's payroll, so Vandy is still in the negative $16.98. when it comes to what we started with, because we started off with $50. I am in the whole -$50, what will soon be -$65. But Maddie is right. There are some bets that we need to talk about in this weekend coming
I just
up
put together a parlay.
when it comes to some matches that are going. So, Maddie, are we talking autumn international test here? Is that what you want to talk about?
That's all I want to talk about. I just put together a parlay right now.
We got four matches. We can talk about the parlay after we go through all the games, but we got 4 matches on the international test coming up here, starting on Friday at 3:10 Eastern time. Yeah, we got 4.
At least 6.
I only got 4.
Maybe they don't have the Sunday ones up yet.
I do have Australia, Wales up, but the ones that I do have, I got Argentina, Ireland, South Africa, England, New Zealand, France, and Australia, Wales. Those are the ones that I have.
Parlay's gone because my parlays were going to include Scotland versus Portugal and Italy versus Georgia.
Hold on. Let's see here. I can pull it up here, but I guess while I'm pulling this up on another sports book, that's what the advantage of using Betstamp is. You can be available in different sports books. I'll see if they have those odds at another sports book available. But Maddie, why don't we talk about Argentina, Ireland first? What do you think the spread is between Argentina and Ireland?
Yeah, Ireland's probably favorites by 10?
Close. 12.5. 12.5 is what Argentina is favored at. Anything that you see there?
I don't know how much I love that. I mean, I'm a sucker for an Argentina covering. But that's a tough one. That's a tough one for me. I'm not sure how good I feel about that one.
Okay. We'll move on to the next one then. South Africa, England. What do you think the spread is on that one?
South Africa's favored by 6.
South Africa is favored by 7.5.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what do you think there?
I like South Africa here. I like South Africa probably covering that just because I think England's in a spot of, I don't think they quite know. But I think South Africa is on a roll as per usual. So I do like South Africa covering that one.
Okay. South Africa covers 7.5. Next one we have is New Zealand and France. This one's a spicy one. What do you think the line is for this one?
France favored by 3.
France is favored by 2.5.
Yeah, I'm crushing these lines.
You are crushing these lines.
Yeah, I'm staying away from this one. I honestly have no clue. I have absolutely no clue. I don't know what form New Zealand's in. Sam Kane's out. They've got a bunch of injuries that they're dealing with. France is France. I'm staying away from this one. I just don't know.
Okay. Then we got Australia and Wales on Sunday.
And Australia's favored by 14.
See, this is then when we get spicy. Australia is favored by just 4.5.
Yeah, hit that right now. Hit that now. Yeah, hit that now.
Like,
don't let that thing go up. And Australia is going to cover that.
Okay.
Wales just lost to Fiji, people. Wales stinks. Warren Gatlin somehow has made this team stink.
I was gonna wear my Wales quarter zip on this episode, but I thought highly against it.
I would honestly parlay Australia covering that. Ireland money line.
Okay.
And I don't know what you get for that, but I like those two.
All right, Ireland. That's actually not bad. You get almost triple your money back.
Yeah, Australia covers an Ireland money line. I think that's
Ireland money line. Okay, hold on. That's gonna change things. Ireland money line.
I just don't know. Argentina scares me sometimes. They just come out with these performances.
Double your money. Double your money.
Hey, buddy, you got 15. So
yeah, I might put all 15 on it.
You should start making
no more sympathy.
No more. I ain't going these light bets anymore. Now that I got money, I've been putting on these weak $3.86 bets. No, I'm reloaded.
If you want to add more parlay, I'll go South Africa money line too.
That's your problem. You guys are always hitting parlays.
Because I don't know what's going to happen enough to do the cover.
Well, Vandy, I didn't have enough money to make any money by not doing parlays. All right. It must be nice having money.
No, you know what the trick was? I was doing parlays all the way down until I got under or close to losing 2, and then it was just Covers.
Slow.
Covers,
It is
covers,
true.
covers, covers.
You were
Single
real
back
close
covers.
to going 0. How the
Just
tables
single
have
back
turned.
covers.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there any other games that you like this weekend, Maddie? At all?
No, I don't know. I haven't even looked at other ones. I'm just caring about Autumn Internationals. It
All
has
right.
been electric so far. Southern Hemisphere has taken over. I have a feeling it's going to be similar this week as well, except Ireland versus Argentina.
All right. So Maddie likes Argentina money line.
I like
Ireland money line. But you don't like the Argentina spread on that one?
No, what'd you
12
say?
and a half.
10, 12 and
12
a half.
and a half.
No, because Argentina pulls these performances out of the hat and they beat New Zealand. And then they come close within a try against Ireland. And then you're like, why did I ever doubt Argentina?
No, but that's 12 and a half though. If they can win, they can get closer. You
No,
think
but
they'll lose more?
what I'm saying is I don't know.
No. Okay.
Like, I don't know if they're going to have that performance.
That's true. That's true.
They just
That's
do
true.
these crazy things. So I would go, one I feel comfortable about is Australia covering. And I have
Okay.
comfortable about Ireland winning.
Okay.
Not by 12, though. I don't know about 12.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, hey, that is our TFR betting challenge, our Triple D Devin Degenerate Dambles segment brought to you by Betstamp. Betstamp betting made easy. Again, check out that link down below, signupexpert.com/thefantasyruckers to get some new user free bets deals at sportsbooks available in your area. Really cool little link there to curate everything where you are located. Again, you'll find sportsbooks that you didn't even know existed. And hey, if you like other fantasy sports, there's even deals for you to join in on some daily fantasy stuff and other kind of wagering sites down below. So if you are interested in any of that, again, check that link down below. Get some free money and also helps out support the show. All right, guys, fun episode. Again, thank you to Emerson Prior. A lot of insight found through there. Anything you boys have left for the people? We're off for the next 2 weeks. Maddie and I are taking a little trip to the motherland, the motherland. We're heading out to Korea for a bit next week, and then happy Thanksgiving the week after that. So we're going to take a little bit of a break for our American friends, and we'll be back in a couple weeks, hopefully with some revamped tools and stuff for our
And lots of
listeners.
news.
And lots of news, and looking ahead to what is going to be an exciting 2025 fantasy MLR season. Get you all prepped for that with maybe some rankings and stuff as some of these lineups get more solidified. You got any messages you want for the people after away for 2 weeks? It's a long time. We're gonna miss you all.
Just have some good turkey for you people in America. Vandy, you just stay frosty.
Always do, buddy.
All right. For Matt Yee, for Devin Vandy Vanderpool, I'm Ryan Yee. We'll be back in 2 weeks on another episode of the Fantasy Ruckers Show.
Gobble, gobble.
You've been listening to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, covering everything rugby from the MLR and beyond. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review, and be sure to tell all your friends. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, connect with us on social media at the Fantasy Ruckers. Till next time, this is the Fantasy Ruckers Show, signing off.